As the baseball season is heating up, the NFL preseason is set to get going this weekend, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff tonight. You know the usual deal. We got Jets trivia a little bit later on tonight. We might even spin the wheel again. But you know what's up. It's Wednesday night. It's 6 p.m. Eastern time, and we are live. Well, welcome everybody to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watts2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos and to join me for the highlight of my week, New York Sports WickerMedia's Wednesday night live show. You know, last week was pretty fun. We did a little birthday celebration. We turned 43 years young. And as you may remember, before we get into the sports content, I gotta tell you this story. So as you guys remember, I was just scarfing away on these hot mini donuts from a local bakery in North Raleigh. Had some cinnamon sugar. We had some Pink Panther donuts. And man, I probably went through a dozen of those donuts between the middle of the day and the show. I probably had 8 donuts just on the show. I was sufficiently sugared up, say that 3 times fast, for about the next month. So I'm thinking I'm not having any more donuts for a while. Fast forward. Friday night, I'm having dinner with a friend of mine. We go to a little restaurant, a little bourbon craft kitchen. The decor was about 50 years old. The clientele was on average about 60 years old, and the bourbons were about 70 years old each, I believe. I did not drink. But, so we had dinner. We split some Brussels sprouts, really, really good. I had a nice turkey Reuben sandwich, pretty good, with a salad on the side. Wanted to be a little bit healthy. And then the time comes for the check. Waiter asks, did we want dessert? And I said, we were kind of looking at each other. It's like, no, not really feeling it. And said, okay, we'll be one check or separate. And my friend goes, it's his birthday. I'll treat. I'll take the check. And then the waiter goes, you know, we have free mini donuts on your birthday. More donuts! Now, you know, being that they were free and not wanting to be a disappointing dinner companion, you know, we kind of had to do that. So next thing we know, they come out with just this brown paper bag. You know what I'm talking about? You know, the kind of brown paper bag where you could see the grease stains kind of coming through. You know that look? Like when you get a nice bucket of fried chicken and the grease stains are coming through the sides, that look that lets you know it's going to be good. So this is where they threw all the sugar in the bottom of the bag. Then they toss the donuts up and they're just shaking them up right like that. And so the donuts are getting all coated with the big, crusty, decadent sugar and cinnamon. And then they give you the raspberry sauce and the chocolate sauce for dipping purposes. And oh, yeah. So it was So I actually had more donuts on Friday, and I was not complaining for a moment about it. All right, guys, I'll tell you what. We're going to get into the 3 and out in a moment, but I'm actually going to, now that we've had the food story, we're going to say hello to a few people in the chat. We start with the great Tony Alexio, new channel member. Those memberships are available, $5 a month. Feel free to support the show. It means a whole heck of a lot so we can bring you the best possible content. And we got Pa2K99 from New Brunswick, New Jersey. How much rain is up there? I know the rain is on its way to North Carolina to the point that the local school system has already closed the schools tomorrow. So hopefully you are staying dry. And aren't you glad you live on the 4th floor of your building just like I do? I know I do. Stack. Like, subscribe, and share. Yes, 3 wonderful things to do. If you love the Jets, if you love sports, if you love America, do all of those things. Harlan Abraham, one of our most loyal members. I'm always glad when he is here. Saying howdy to Tony. And I also see David D. greetings to you as well, my friend. A few other people in the chat as well. And of course, I do apologize to Arkansas. If somebody from Arkansas is here, forgive me for what I'm about to do in a little segment that we like to call 3 and Out. So let's get into a few topics around the world of sports. The first thing I'm going to do is talk a little New York Knicks, and specifically Julius Randle. So the Knicks have to make a big decision. Will they sign him to a big contract extension? He's going to be eligible for it very soon. And there's some pros, there's some cons, and there's some money issues. So I'll go through all of those. So Randle has been a 3-time All-Star with the Knicks, averaging 22.6 points, 9.9 rebounds. And, he's a good shot creator, and his game has really grown in New York, especially with passing. And, he plays like a kind of a bully ball, that one-on-one isolationist ability that works against certain teams. And I think he can work well against the Celtics, because if there's one thing Boston doesn't have, they're not very bulky down low. Okay, so Randle is going to be a very important piece to, sort of muscle Kristaps Porzingis out of the paint. Okay, so he is a very good player, no denying his talent, but can he play the 5? Can he play that center position? That's what the Knicks need, because all you really have is Mitchell Robinson, who is going to miss half the season, a very underdeveloping Jericho Sims. They did sign Precious Achiuwa to a 1-year deal, but he's more of a power forward. And the other thing that really bothers me with Randle, he has not been good in the postseason, averaging 17 points on 34% shooting, and he's coming off shoulder surgery. So just to break down the money and what this would look like. So Randle is eligible for a 40% raise in the first year of a new deal, which would be the season after this, and then 8% raises in all subsequent years. That would make a deal it would make the deal $181.5 million. Plus the $30.3 million he'll make this year. That's $211 million over 5 years. Okay, so by comparison, you have Pascal Siakam from Indiana. He just signed 4 years, $189 to stay with Indiana. Okay, so here's the thing. The Knicks don't have a lot of room. They have, for 25-26, they have 9 players under contract and $53 million in cap room before they hit the second apron. Now, the second apron is when you start to be restricted on trades, signings, draft picks, and all this kind of stuff. So you don't want to do that. And if you give Randle the max, you go from $53 million down to $10 million. So you got to be careful about that. Now, if Randle has a great year, he could decline his player option and enter 2025 as a free agent, and he could get $300 million over 5 years. So who knows what he's going to do, but I would not break the bank for him, especially when the Knicks have a lot of big players under contract, and Mikal Bridges might need an extension down the road. All right, now on to baseball. I'm actually going to give you 2 baseball topics, one New York related and one not. As far as the New York Mets go, you know what? I embrace the challenge of where they are right now. Right now, I am hating the Arizona Diamondbacks. They can't lose a game. San Diego can't lose a game. The Atlanta Braves are losing a few games, but at the end of the day, I mean, how you only expect them to fall so far. But the thing with the Mets, they are 30 for their last 146 at-bats with runners in scoring position. That can't work, because in June, they got big hits every single night, and that has been the problem. Now, all these teams have had their hot streaks, and obviously you can't look at 1 or 2 games and say this is what they are, this is how they're going to play for the rest of the year. But they've had a lot of players really step up. Sean Manaea, back-to-back double-digit strikeout games. Just the 3rd left-handed pitcher in Mets history to do that after Sid Fernandez and Jerry Koosman. Jeff McNeil is killing it, batting .364 since the All-Star break. Harrison Bader hitting .333, always seems to come through in a big spot. Starling Marte had a bone bruise in his knee, is now beginning his rehab assignment with Single A St. Lucie. He's on his way back. On the pitching side, Christian Scott will start a throwing program later this week. Reed Garrett's coming back. Sean Reed-Foley is already pitching in games. So there are things to look forward to, but then you got your concerns, and that is Francisco Alvarez, batting .186 in over 16 games with 18 strikeouts, 1 double, 1 home run. It is rather alarming that I wonder if Alvarez came back too soon from his injury. So that is sort of my concern there. But the Mets better get these next 2 games in Colorado. You cannot lose a series to the Colorado Rockies. And the other thing I got to mention real quick, the Chicago White Sox. Congratulations to the Southsiders snapping their 21-game losing streak as they beat Oakland 5-1 on the road. Somehow their manager, Pedro Griffol, remains employed. But Oakland, oh my God, did Oakland, for a franchise that is dead and for a stadium that has about as much personality as a plastic plant, they actually played during warm-ups. They played Taylor Swift's song 22 over the loudspeakers at the Coliseum, as 5,600 fans were either annoyed or dancing along, who knows which. So I'll give the A's a little credit for a troll job, but the White Sox losing streak is now, as their terrible announcer Hawk Harrelson used to say, over! All right. Well, enough of that, guys. Let's get into the main content of the night, and we are going to flip the script from orange to green, and we're going to talk a little New York Jets football. So everybody, you know what to do by now. Say it proud, say it loud. Let me hear you. And there we go. Let's talk a little New York Jets football, and we got a lot of stories to get into. And there's a few things that I want to get into with this story tonight. One thing that I think needs to be mentioned right away is the injuries going on and the craziness going on in San Francisco. Now, that would have been the one game this year if they had lost it. It'd have been like, you know what? You chalk it up as a loss. You're going on the road to play maybe the deepest team in all of the NFL. It's opening night. How much can you really expect? Hello to Hank G, also a channel member, and Yete. Hello to you as well. Both channel members, glad you guys have joined us tonight for some Wednesday night fun. But a lot going on in San Francisco. Christian McCaffrey, calf strain. Now we know this. He's not played in the preseason. As of right now, San Francisco does expect him to not miss much time. But we know if with calf strains, they linger. This is not something you get over in a week or two. And even if McCaffrey does play against the Jets and that game is 1 month away, just 1 month away, it is going to be very difficult for him to be at full strength. Of course, we've got the whole Brandon Ayuk saga going on right now. Right now, it looks like it would be Cleveland or Pittsburgh that would make the trade. New England has withdrawn their name from consideration for the trade. You know, I definitely think it's Ayuk's best interest to hold out. I mean, I did not think San Francisco would realistically trade him, but right now, you know, it sounds like the terms are agreed to, but Ayuk wants a contract extension right away, which, you know, you cannot blame him for. He is that good. He is that deserving, but it sounds like terms are just not there right now. And I have a feeling that this is going to get settled in the next couple of days. I'm just surprised San Francisco would actually let Ayuk go. You know, Trent Williams is still holding out, no guaranteed money left on his contract. I would expect that to get worked out. Williams is far and away the best offensive lineman that the Niners have to offer. Without him, I think the Niners offensive line is in a load of trouble facing that Jets front four on Monday Night Football. And also with the wide receiver depth, Ricky Pearsall, their first-round rookie receiver, re-aggravated a shoulder injury the other day, and he's also still dealing with a hamstring problem. So, man, oh, man, the 49ers could be coming into this Jets game, you know, the worse for wear. So let's see how this progresses over the next couple of weeks. But even past that, week 2 for the Tennessee Titans, DeAndre Hopkins has a lower body injury as well, and he's expected to miss anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. Not going on the PUP list, but that 6-week mark pretty much puts you right at the Jets game in Tennessee. And as good as the Jets secondary is, you know, taking Hopkins off the field definitely changes the dynamic. You're already dealing with Calvin Ridley, with Tyler Boyd. Definitely, you don't want to deal with Hopkins as well. So things starting to look a little favorable in the Jets' way in that sense. Now, this, I think, there was sort of like a subtle announcement. The Jets never made this public. But all of a sudden, it seems like we have seen the end of the One Jets Drive series. Now, I don't know about you all, but I have always enjoyed watching One JD to see the look behind the scenes, what's going on at training camp. And last year, we got a little bit extra because of Hard Knocks. You had One Jets Drive as well as Hard Knocks. And this year, you don't seem to have either of that. Maybe this is an effort by the Jets to not just restrict access, not so much that, but to focus on what's going on, take a few cameras out of there and get down to business. And I think that's actually a good idea, especially for Robert Saleh. I think he's been a little bit too much of a player's coach. I felt there should have been a few times he should have given them a little bit more of a kick in the butt. Now, again, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, in all fairness. But I will say that if this is a sign that he's taking more accountability and figuring out what it's going to take for the Jets to be as successful as possible, then, hey, that's something that we got to live with. You know what? Hey, we haven't made the playoffs since the One Jets Drive series was around. So, hey, let's change anything we can. And Hank G, I agree with you. Yeah, it was a fantastic series. For all the things that people could say negative about the Jets, the social media content has been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But instead, what we've had are these origin stories about these 45-minute documentaries profiling the stories of different Jets players. We've seen Jermaine Johnson, Garrett Wilson, DJ Reed, Jeremy Ruckert, and Quincy Williams. I'm sure more will be coming out. So far, I've gotten through the first 4 of them. I really like the Garrett one. I mean, Garrett's dad. I mean, oh my gosh, that's just the kind of guy you want to sit down and have a chat with. And he just seems like the coolest, wisest guy that you'd ever want to meet. But really, I thought all of the stories were really, really good. Papa Ruckert, you could tell, man, he is just the classic blue-collar Long Island guy. A little bit too much of an Islanders fan, maybe for my liking, but I'll forgive him for that. The DJ Reed, though, that one felt a little bit bittersweet. As much as I loved his story, it's a little tough knowing kind of in the back of my mind, I just don't expect him to be here in 12 months. I would be very happy if he is. I just can't quite be. I just don't have the confidence that Reed is going to be here because you can't pay everybody. And sooner or later, you got to start making some decisions. It's what JJ, Brees, AVT, and on the list goes. All right. Dane O, as I tell you every week, guys, check out his channel. Solo Adam is the best. Hopefully I'm on the medal stand. I don't know if I get the gold, but I appreciate it. Yeah, birthday was cool. We had the highlight was the show. I mean, that was the highlight of it, there's all this pressure to have all this fun on your birthday, like it's a big day, but 8:00 the next morning, I had to be in the office, and things are very, very crazy at work with school starting in a week and a half. So can only do so much. But hey, who knows if there'll even be work tomorrow? Like I said, the local schools are already closed. I don't know what to expect, but yeah, I'll be ready. And if I'm supposed to go in, I will go in. All right, so let's talk about a couple of other things here. As I skipped over a couple slides. Yeah, let's go to this slide. All right, and let's max this out a little bit. Yeah, let's shrink me down. I wanted to talk a little bit about the wide receiver situation. And I think one of the big things that we have to think about is who is going to play in the slot and who is going to play outside for the Jets. Now, they've dealt with a few injuries, a few minor injuries over the last week or two. Xavier Gipson had a lower leg injury. He came back to practice on Tuesday, which was very encouraging. And right now, the Jets staff has him as the number 1 slot receiver ahead of Malachi Corley. Check in with me on that in about 3 weeks. Jason Brownlee, he had a big Monday in practice. He's been coming on. Then he limped off, but he did come back quite quickly. Irv Charles, a lot of people has had as a given to make this roster due to his special teams prowess. He's been limping as well. So it's a lot of lower body injuries. And it's really raising a lot of questions about who's going to get these last couple of wide receiver spots. Because, you have Garrett Wilson. You have Mike Williams. And by the way, how great is it? How happy were you when you got the news this afternoon that Mike Williams is already activated off the PUP list? Just yesterday, Robert Saleh said he was asked about Mike Williams and when would he be back. And this was Saleh's quote. He said, "We'll see. I know he's got a couple doctor's visits coming up, but right now he's just progressing." Well, I guess he was progressing pretty dang well. Now, this doesn't mean he's clear for, a full game right now, that he's going to, they're going to try to ease him in like they did with Breece Hall. But remember this, just for comparison, last year, Breece Hall was cleared from the PUP list on August 15th. Mike Williams is getting cleared 8 days sooner, so he's got more time. And we know Breece was not quite all the way back in week 1 against Buffalo. Like, he didn't really have that breakaway speed that we saw later in the season, but we were able to see him make some big plays against a very, very talented Buffalo defense. So if you give Williams about an extra week or so, you got to be very encouraged about that. All right, and as far as Malachi Corley goes, you know Alan Lazard is going to be there. You know Malachi Corley is going to be there. So you have 4 spots. That leaves either 2 or 3. But as far as I want to talk about Garrett Wilson for a second and just how this is going to work out. So if you look at Wilson, looking at his receptions, in 2022 he had 83 catches. Now, of those 83 catches, 29 of those were from the slot. That's 35%. Last year, he caught 42% of his receptions out of the slot, 40 out of 95. So it's been steadily increasing. Okay, so that's part of the deal. You have Lazard on the field, and it's going to be great to have Mike Williams on the field. But does that mean you're going to put Malachi Corley outside a little bit more? Because Corley, I think, was really brought in to be that prototypical slot receiver. But we know with this offense, they like versatility in their wide receivers. You want your X receiver, your Y receiver, your Z receiver, your alpha receiver, your omega receiver, your phi beta chi receiver, whatever receivers there are, in these offenses. But, I think as Jet fans, we still think a lot of Garrett Wilson as being the number 1 outside receiver, but I think they're realizing more and more how productive he can be when he's in the slot. He is far from an exclusive outside wide receiver. But let's see how they use him with the other players on the field. It's going to be very, very interesting. But again, I do expect Malachi Corley to maybe not get a ton of reps early on in the season, but as September turns into October, his role is going to grow a little bit more, and the doubters will be silenced. All right. Another thing I do want to mention, Joe Tippmann. We have not heard his name. We haven't seen his name get tweeted in the last 2 days or so. It's one of those things with Joe Tippmann. No news is good news as he continues to work through his snapping yips. So let's see what happens. Now on Thursday, just got the joint practice against the Commanders, the Washington Redskins, whatever you would like to call them, before the exhibition game on Saturday at MetLife Stadium. And again, there's only two things you root for now: good snaps by Joe Tippmann and no injuries. It's pretty much that simple. Now, as far as the defense goes, a couple things I want to say there. They really need Hassan Reddick back. I mean, we are 33 days away from opening night. Darrelle Revis's holdout ended just 8 days prior to the start of the season. But Revis wasn't forfeiting anywhere near the money that Reddick is. It's getting, I think it's around $750,000 the last I saw for Hassan Reddick. Yeah. So I just don't understand what the business strategy is. Where he's getting to the point where he's not going to be able to make this money back, that he's being fined every day. It just isn't sensible to me. But you know what? The whole thing, I'm going to get into Will McDonald in a moment. Actually, I was going to talk about McDonald now, but I'm going to wait on that for just a moment here. I actually want to move on to something else. And I want to talk about Jamien Sherwood. Now, this is a player who I think for a while had gone a little bit under the radar, had been sort of like a good linebacker, an okay linebacker, good at some things, not so good in others, but had very limited opportunities. As a matter of fact, last year, Jamien Sherwood played only 17% of the team's defensive snaps. He was mostly used as a special teams player, but he has been, by many beat writers' reports, the best linebacker on the field. And when you've already got C.J. Mosley and Quincy Williams rated in like the top 30, 35 of all NFL players, you're really doing something. You are really doing something. Robert Saleh said this about the fourth-year linebacker. Throughout camp and OTAs, in chaotic moments, he is still finding a way to get everybody lined up, along with getting his feet in the ground and making the play, which is a really cool step in his development as a football player. He's off to a really good start, end quote. So I think one of the biggest concerns that we've had as Jets fans, maybe we haven't really thought about it, but what if C.J. Mosley went down? Jamien Sherwood is looking more and more like he is going to be ready to step into that spot if it unfortunately does come to that. So I'm very happy about that. And remember, this is the final year of his contract. he knows he's got to show something if he wants to get, more than a 1-year minimum deal, like Ashton Davis basically got this past year, or a very low-level deal. Now, Sherwood's always been a great tackler, a great run defender. His coverage is what has been the question mark. And, and again, the Jets are usually playing a 4-2-5 defense, 4 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 in the secondary. So, you know what? If Sherwood can play well enough, hey, maybe it's a situation. It's going to be hard to get Michael Carter the second off the field in the secondary, but Sherwood might be making a case to play a little bit more. And, if he's getting more speed going on, maybe you use him as a blitzing linebacker once in a while. He's got the speed. He knows where to go. He knows where to go to get the ball. He always finds himself around the ball when he's on the field. So, maybe you Sherwood to blitz just a little bit more than you have in the past, as little as this defense blitzes. All right, now I want to spend a minute talking about the depth chart. Now, this is not usually the biggest news because it's very, very fluid. It could change one week to the next. And we know typically that the Jets tend to put their rookies at the bottom of the depth chart, and they work their way up. I mean, Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson were on 2nd and 3rd rankings when they first came in, and that did not last all that long. But I did want to point out a couple of things I found a little bit interesting, and I think they do bear watching. So I'm putting up here a picture of the Killer Bees. You got Breece Hall on the left and Braylon Allen on the right, and somebody in the middle trying to photobomb his way in. So I was very happy to see Braylon Allen has the lead on the running back 2 position. This was a running back. We've said before, I wanted him on the Jets, and I was so happy when they got him. And people had a lot of questions because he played in a rather limiting offense at Wisconsin. He didn't have to catch the ball out of the backfield a lot. He didn't have to block a whole lot. It was take the ball, run. That was basically his entire job. But as he said in a recent, and he has had some questions about, how physical is he going to be? Is he a true battering ram? And Allen has addressed this himself. He said, quote, "The expectation for me is to be that bruiser and run with more power and low pads. And this is the part I like, just impose my will upon people." Whoo! Impose your will, Braylon. Impose that will. The Jets have not had a physical running back like this since Chris Ivory. To be absolutely huge. I think he's going to be an incredible running back for the Jets. I think he is going to be a very popular fantasy waivers pickup within a couple of weeks. It's like Billy Joel said himself, "Well, we're living here in Allentown." All right. So I'm very excited about where Braylon Allen is going. Now, as far as the tight end position goes, well, before we get to the tight end position, Jets Mess is here. Good to see you, my friend. Glad you are here. The very first channel member, the OG member of the New York Sports WickerMedia channel. Tony Alexio, Sherwood has arrived to stop the screen pass. Yeah, it seems like for years there were 2 things the Jets could never do on defense: stop the screen pass and stop the tight end. And, Robert Saleh has said it himself. He said this his first year as head coach. The one drawback of this defense is it leaves you prone to the screen pass. So I would expect teams to keep doing that as long as they can. Dano mentioned 33 days till kickoff. That is exactly right. It's also Jamal Adams days away from kickoff, or Patrick Ewing. I mean, all kinds of 33s. So there you go. But Anthony Ferkser, who the Jets just signed as a free agent tight end, is on the 3rd tight end level behind Zach Kuntz. And I don't know we'll see if that lasts, because I still think Ferkser is going to take the spot that Nick Bond would have had as sort of that blocking fullback / tight end role. But I got to wonder about this on the depth chart. Offensive line. I got a couple questions here. Max Mitchell is ranked ahead of Carter Warren, and I did not expect that. Most of the things I've seen have given Carter Warren very favorable reviews. I can barely recall seeing Max Mitchell's name from any beat writer or from any content creator. I think outside of Tego, most Jets fans have pretty much given up on Max Mitchell. But right now, Mitchell's listed ahead of Warren. And the backup center right now is listed as Chris Glazer. And I still think I'm going to keep saying it until it doesn't happen. Connor McGovern, especially if Joe Tippmann continues to struggle, will be signed as a backup center. And this was the other thing I found interesting. Now, when Jeremy was on with me last week, we talked about a couple of rookies, and one of them was Brady Latham, the interior offensive lineman from the University of Arkansas. And he is listed as the fourth string right guard on this roster right now, behind Elijah Vera Tucker, behind Wes Schweitzer, and a guy named Cole Laval. I'll give everybody about a minute so you can go Wikipedia whoever Cole Laval was. But anyway, they got Latham ranked fourth behind him. So that is something, a lot of people say, bro, preseason football is like non-alcoholic beer. What's the point? Well, there are players to watch to see if they have a chance to stick on this roster. And I think Brady Latham is going to be one of them. I want to see how he blocks in these preseason games. All right. Now, a couple of things on the defensive side. Leonard Taylor is ranked 7th on the defensive tackle list as of now, behind even Tanzel Smart and Bruce Hector. Now, a lot of the reports I've seen, like from Dan Leberfeld of Jets Confidential, that's been very, very positive, saying that Taylor has been coming on as of late. I don't expect this to last very long. At the cornerback list, you've got both Quantiz Stiggers and Brendan Eccles listed ahead of Jarek Bernard Converse, and both Stiggers and JBC have gotten rave reviews this offseason. Isaiah Oliver now listed as safety, so now you wonder if Oliver is going to be the one to take that fourth safety spot, as the Jets really signed him, not so much for his defensive playing ability, it was really more for his ability to play special teams, sort of take the Justin Hardy role over. So I think Oliver might be taking that spot. And currently the listed returners are Xavier Gibson, Isaiah Davis, and Malachi Corley. I still think that the Jets are going to do something as far as returner goes, because one thing that I figured out when watching – I watched a few highlights of the Houston-Chicago game, and it was really about watching the kickoff. And with the landing zone that you have and the way you can place the football now, from between the goal line and the 20, here's the bottom line. You'll want to have two returners, especially with, the both teams, most of the players being like 5 to 10 yards apart at the start of that play. You want to have that second returner because you want somebody who can get the ball quickly and start taking it down the field. So you really want that second returner. And now that the Jets don't have Tariq Cohen on their roster anymore, that makes things just a little bit more challenging. All right. So now, as we mentioned, we're going to get into the game against the Commanders. All right. So as we mentioned, Thursday is the joint practice. The game is Saturday at 12. If you don't live in Market like I don't, you have to wait till 9:30 on a freaking Sunday morning to watch the game. I may have to DVR it, but yeah, crazy to me that there are no other games going on at 12 o'clock on a Saturday, but they can't show the Jets game live. So what are you going to do? I might have to find one of those streaming deals, or maybe find a bar that's actually showing it. If you don't have NFL Plus, or if you're not living in the local markets, then you are pretty much SOL on this thing. All right, but a couple things I'll be looking for is who's going to be the primary returners. We just mentioned a couple of the guys who are up on the depth chart in Gibson, in Isaiah Davis, and Malachi Corley. I still don't know if I could see Corley doing it. Much as I like Malachi Corley, I think he's almost too valuable to this offense right now. So we'll see. Gibson also coming off the injury, and let's see if they have him doing it. So definitely watch to see who the returners are. Also, who plays quarterback for the Jets? I would bet on Andrew Peasley. We know it won't be Aaron Rodgers. I don't expect Tyrod Taylor. Jordan Travis not ready to go yet. So with the offense, especially the passing game, you got to take that with a grain of salt, because the quarterbacks that you're going to see are likely not on this roster, and maybe one of them might make the practice squad. That's about the most hope you can have there. The great Johnny Jimenez. That's right. I'm your Broham. I'm glad you're here, Johnny, representing Portsmouth, Virginia. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you and the family are doing fantastic. Now, as far as the Commandskins go, Jaden Daniels, their number one pick, their hopefully future franchise quarterback, as they are viewing him, will be playing in this game. It's going to give him a great test going against the Jets defense, even if only for one series. Now, Washington is, to me, one of the bottom dwellers in the National Football League, maybe a bottom 5 or 6 team. All right, they have major competition for their left tackle. Right now, it looks like Brandon Coleman is the leading candidate. So early on, you're going to see Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald going up against him. Let's see if those tackles especially can handle the Jets' outside pass rush. So he's a third-round pick from TCU, is Coleman. Can he hold his own? It's really going to be an interesting look. Now, Washington, here's what I would say. What they almost remind me of the Jets from way back when, in that their highlight of their team is probably the interior line, the interior defensive line with Jonathan Allen and Darren Payne. And they also drafted Johnny Newton from Illinois, maybe the best defensive tackle prospect in the draft. So on the inside, they have the potential to get a little bit of pressure. And Johnny Newton is definitely a player that I expect to get a lot of time. And the Jets interior line better be able to contain him. So the Xavier Newmans, the Chris Glazers, these types of guys, they gotta contain him. But where Washington is really, really bad is their secondary. Now, last year they drafted Emmanuel Forbes Jr., number 16, and he was benched after allowing 5 touchdowns on 39 receptions. He also allowed 16 yards per catch and 195 yards after the catch. So even with a limited quarterback situation that the Jets have in this game, don't so much look for the production. Watch to see if some of these young receivers, Gibson, Charles, Taylor, guys like this, Corley, assuming he plays, watch to see if they can get some space against this Washington secondary, because they're just not that good. They're just not. Even the tight ends as well, even. All right, so again, that's one thing I think we really learned in the last couple of years, watching Zach Wilson. I was going to say watching Zach Wilson play quarterback, but to say that Zach Wilson was playing quarterback is kind of like watching that pole vaulter in the Olympics who basically crotched himself on the beam. He made an effort, but it really wasn't the ideal look, right? So we've learned that as we watch guys like Garrett Wilson running wide open. But Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, Trevor Siemian just could not get him the ball. Situations like that. So if they have the all 22 available, let's see if these receivers are running open. All right. Dano says, Stiggers, 1 interception, anyone? Dane, you read my mind. As a matter of fact, I thought I would talk about Quantez Stiggers, and I'm going to bring him up in just a moment or two. All right. So I've got 5 players, Jets in particular. Hey, Roger F., I saw you were live. Don't know why I'm not getting notifications. Make sure you hit the bell and click all. So every time that I go on the air or I upload a video, you get notified. But it's always 6 o'clock Wednesday. And if anything comes up where I can't do that, I will give notice. Like around Thanksgiving week, I won't be doing the show on Wednesday because I'm going to the Rangers-Hurricanes game. So I will be that night. We will not be doing Wednesday at 7. Maybe I would do the show after that, except I know I'm not going to have a voice after screaming at the Rangers for basically 2.5 hours. And, we'll see if any more Hurricanes fans try to fight me like they did after the one playoff game. But, hey, what are you going to do? And, of course, Roger, you could always rewind. And, yeah. Roger F., my favorite podcast segment is The Wheel. Well, hey, guys, if you want The Wheel tonight, you know what to do. You just got to click that thumbs up button. And if we get our 15 likes, then you know what? I'm going to give you all what you want, and we're going to do The Wheel. But right now, we're just a little bit short on that. All right? So I know we've got over a dozen people in the chat, so if you haven't hit the thumbs up, be sure to do it. And if we get to 15 tonight, then at the end of the show, we will do it. All right. So a couple of Jets will be watching. One has to be Will McDonald. I mean, I feel like his season could be the X factor of this defense. Now, not that a defense comes down to any one particular player. Let's see. Y'all want to look at that more than my face. But anyway, actually, you know what? I got to change. Let's change one thing here. Yeah, I'm going to get out of the wicker chair for a moment. I think I got to set the mood a little bit. There we go. Let's get back at MetLife Stadium. That looks so much better. All right. But again, the Jets lost 20 sacks from last year's team. They lost Quinn Jefferson, Bryce Huff, John Franklin Myers. All gone. The 2 primary sources, and you can tell me Javon Kinlaw, we know he's put on the weight. We know he's put on the muscle. I actually had 1 chicken breast tonight, so if I have 5 more, I'll be caught up to Javon Kinlaw. You know what I'm talking about? I have 1 more in the fridge. But anyway. But Javon Kinlaw, we'll see what he can do. But the 2 primary sources of potential sacks that were not there last year are Hassan Reddick and Will McDonald's improvement. Will only played 19% of the snaps last year. Maybe he doubles that this season. And I think that he can do that, especially if the Jets do what they're planning to do, if the Jets score a lot on offense, get ahead, and the other team's trying to come back, and they got to start throwing the ball down the field, and now the Jets can really tee off, and the opposing offense is not in as much of a position to run the ball as they were. Because we go back, look how many times other teams were running against the Jets. It was run, 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 run. Barely a pass to be seen to take the Jets cornerbacks out of the game, to take the pass rushers out of the game. That's what it was all about. And when Quinn Williams wasn't on the field, it wasn't good. All right? So if the Jets are getting ahead, they could put that extra pass rusher on the field. I mean, maybe you have Reddick and McDonald on the outside, and in the middle you put Quinn Williams and Jermaine Johnson. Oh, my God. Who's stopping that front four? It would be unbelievable. But I think Will McDonald, you know what he could be? He could sort of be that closer when the Jets are playing pass defense late in games. On Tuesday, McDonald showed some speed. He beat Morgan Moses, and he had a would-be sack of Aaron Rodgers. Now, training camp was a slow start for number 99. And there are – Roger, thank you very much. Yep, we have hit the mark. We have hit the mark, so we will be doing the wheel just a little bit later on. But the thing with McDonald – and thank you guys very, very much. I appreciate that. McDonald had a bit of a slow start. There's been a lot of controversy with his weight. It's almost like the opposite of Mekhi Becton. For years, it's like Becton's got to get under 330 or under 400 or whatever he was weighing at the time. And with McDonald, the challenge for him apparently is trying to gain weight. 235 pounds is what he played last year, and was, he was a pretty good player in a limited role. He had a few flashy plays, but he wasn't a consistent threat by any stretch. And the goal was for him to get up to 250. Also, that way he wouldn't be as much a liability in the run game. I'll tell you what, maybe Javon Kinlaw should put Will McDonald on his diet. All right. Hey, I don't make as much money as an NFL player does. Maybe about as much as a low-level intern does, the water boy. Maybe I'm on that level. But I'll help to buy the eggs. I'll buy the ground beef. I'll buy the chicken breast. I'll even buy the little bit of pasta. Can we give Will some muscle weight? Come on now. Javon Kinlaw put 35 pounds on. Will McDonald could put 5 or 10 on. I have confidence he could do it. Maybe a different metabolism. I'm no exercise physiologist or a kinesiologist or any of that stuff. I'm basically a painologist with these teams I root for that give me misery all the time. But you know what? McDonald has shown up in recent days. He has his burst. He still has that great spin move, and his teammates are raving about it. So let's see what McDonald does in the preseason. I think people are really counting on him. How is McGregor doing in training camp? Bray McGregor from Michigan. I definitely think there's going to be a fight for at least one roster spot between McGregor and Watts, and I still am not ready to give Michael Clemens that last defensive end spot. I expect 10 defensive linemen to be on the Jets, but you know what? With the way Takk McKinley has been playing, he might have a place. Now, if you look at the Jets' defensive ends, let's just say they take 5. Let's just keep it simple. You have JJ. You have Will. You have Reddick. I think that's it. Okay. So then who are we talking about? Michael Clemens, Eric Watts, Bray McGregor, Takk McKinley. I would think 2 of those 4 are going to get a roster spot, most likely, unless a third one absolutely forces it. Okay, but you're going to have at least 4, most likely 5. I would expect 5 defensive ends. So to me, we're just going to have to see. I haven't heard Watts' name a lot. McGregor, I think from what I've heard, has been pretty good, but McKinley is the one who's really been making the difference. So it could really be a race between McGregor and Watts with who's going to get that last roster spot. So I think it's going to be the games that really make the difference. Roger, Leonard Taylor's been getting a lot of good reviews as of late. We didn't hear his name for a while, but we mentioned Dan Leberfeld of Jets Confidential has been giving him very, very favorable reviews. And like we talked about, he had a scouting report before the draft. This is before the draft, before he went to the Jets. And it said he would be best in a rotation and one that really emphasizes the pass rush because that's what he's best at. There is no better place Leonard Taylor could ever be than with the New York Jets. And I think there will be a 5th spot there. I think the spot will be there for Taylor if he is good enough to take it. And I think he could be good enough where once he gets a little seasoning, Solomon Thomas might take a little step back. But, You know what? So far, I think the returns are promising, nothing overly alarming, but you got to see it in the games. You just got to see it in the games. And we have the great Chris Bradigan. Good to see you. Glad you are here. Yeah, isn't it gonna be weird seeing the Jets play at a Saturday afternoon preseason game? It's like these games are always 7, 8 o'clock. Yeah, be a lot to watch. Oh, and guys, I will be at the game in Charlotte. I've got my hotel booked. Just got to get my ticket. And right now you can get a ticket for like $12, $13 in very cavernous Bank of America Stadium. But I'm going to wait just a little bit longer because I know there'll be some people trying to give those tickets away. But I've got a few things planned, some places I'm going to be going, got a restaurant or two. Yeah, definitely got some good plans. Oh, and I will be doing some pre-gaming, so I'll be sure to talk about that maybe next week as it gets a little bit closer about where I'll be hanging for a couple hours before the game. All right. Roger F. a little bit down on Jalen Key. Yeah, you haven't heard much about him either, but I think now you have your three safeties in Chuck Clark, Tony Adams, and Ashton Davis. Now, after that, Isaiah Oliver is now being listed as a safety, and I think he has a very good chance to make it, especially with his special teams ability. I think Jalen Key, it's a situation where he is good in certain things but has some growing to do in certain areas. And let's be honest, if it's Mr. Irrelevant, I think you could safely cut him and stash him on the practice squad. If another team wanted him badly enough, they would have drafted him somewhere in the 7th round. But nobody else did. Only the Jets did. So to me, I don't mind taking that risk. And remember, our boy, Trey Dean, still out there on the market after being cut by Kansas City. So, hey, you could always bring in Trey Dean. And we bring in basically my brother from another mother, the great Nick Shine, going all Hollywood on us now, basically now co-star of the Jake Asman show. It's good to know that he still remembers me. But, Nick, hope you're having a fantastic week, my friend. And I appreciate you stopping by as always. And, yeah, Nick actually became a channel member a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't even get the notification. So, Nick, I thank you very much for your support and your loyalty. It means a whole lot. All right. Now, another player I want to mention is Jarek Bernard-Converse. So he has looked very good in camp. He's had some pass breakups. He's had an interception of Aaron Rodgers. And also, since the pads have come on, his play has not only not slipped, it's actually gotten better once he's had a chance to start hitting. The great Nate, what's up, Mr. Watts UK99? In a couple of hours, a hell of a lot of rain down here in North Carolina. Several inches of rain are expected to the point where I don't even know if I'm going to work tomorrow. I'm just very thankful I live on the 4th floor. But, yeah, it's supposed to rain and rain heavily for the next 36 hours. But it has not started as of yet. But yeah, everything's pretty dang good. Can't really complain too much. But then again, once the Jets start playing on Saturday, I'm sure I'll find something. But the thing with Jarek Bernard-Converse, so he has been moved back from safety to cornerback. And good move by the Jets doing that because JBC, when he was in college, played 2,500 reps at corner. He played only 650 at safety. So that's that's about 4 times more at cornerback. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does and seeing where he's going to fit in this whole puzzle of cornerbacks behind Sauce and DJ and MC2. Because, there are other players who are going to be fighting for roster spots. There's a good chance the Jets are going to have to let go of 1 or 2 very, very good players in that secondary as they cut down from 90 to 53. Roger F. said, Roger F. was introduced through WickerMedia from Nick Shine. Thank you so much for that. All right. But anyway, getting back to JBC, Tony Adams was being interviewed, and he was asked to pick out a player flying under the radar, and he picked JBC. So here's what he said about Converse, or Bernard Converse. Last year, he couldn't compete because he had an injury. He was kind of down on himself a little bit, just because coming off a foot injury messes you up a little bit. Which makes sense for defensive back. As a DB, your feet are everything. So just seeing him come out here and compete at the highest level, playing physical, playing fast, it's just so dope. I was just looking for a reason to say it's just so dope here on the show. And it's great to see his maturity. I'm proud of him. He was in my room last year as my roommate, and just seeing his growth and maturity levels, it touched me. I'm really proud of that guy, and I can't wait to see what he does this year. High praise. Very, very high praise for sure for JBC. So a player who really flew under the radar last year, he's got a chance to make his name known. Quantez Stiggers. I could barely get through a show without mentioning his name. I'm always going to, for whatever else. I know I don't have the most followers or anything like that, and that's okay. But I will always lay claim that I was the first one to talk about Quantez Stiggers. I will give that, but that's his Toronto uniform, not a Tennessee Titans uniform. But he's been running against the second-team offense, and all indications are he's better than that. He's better than the second-team offense. He's like too good for the twos, but not good enough for the ones. Like, to put this in baseball words, he's a quadruple A player already. Too good for triple A, but not quite a major leaguer. He's had some interceptions. He's had a lot of pass breakups. And even when a pass gets completed, the receiver is not getting yards after the catch. Now, it's too early to call this, and he has a few tackling issues to address. But man, oh man, I am super excited to see what he does. And again, with these rookies, Nate says Nick Shine followers know about Quantez from the OTAs. We were talking about him before the draft, Nate. No. I was talking about Quantez back in March. So yeah, I have no problem admitting things that I'm wrong about. Being wrong about Stephen Hill, I thought he was going to be an excellent receiver. Things like that. I could think of one or two others as well. But Quantez Stiggers, that's what I'm claiming him. The way Tony Alexio claims Chris Streveler. Or Rusty Spooner would claim Cedric Van Pran or Kyle, or who's the receiver in Tennessee that we love? Was it Kyle? Was it Kyle Wilson? Who's the Tennessee receiver that was that we were big fans of? I can't really remember who that was. Titans wide receivers. If I can't think of his name, it's going to drive me crazy if I can't think of it. Kyle Phillips. That's right. I knew it was a familiar name. Yeah, Kyle Phillips, same name as the former Jets defensive end. Yeah, Nate, I think as a DJ Reed replacement, I think it could really happen. Yep, you got more size, about the same level of coverage ability. I'm absolutely wanting it. I think it could absolutely happen. And again, just because somebody gives up a touchdown in the preseason, it's just called learning. So I'm not going to freak out one way or another. Jim Pock wants Corey Davis back. You know what? I like Corey Davis. I was one of the biggest defenders of Corey Davis that there was. I just don't know how much you could count on him. And you know what? Mike Williams is already kind of injury prone. You know what? If he'll take a very low-level deal, then I guess I'm open to it. But you know what? First, the Jets need to sign Hassan Reddick, and they need to, in my mind, consider bringing in Connor McGovern on that interior offensive line. A few people are high on Corey Davis. There were a couple. Western Michigan University, for instance. All right. So then after Quantez, we go to Isaiah Davis. Nick, I'm not getting in the Corey Davis thing again. All right. But Isaiah Davis could have a little bit bigger of a role than a lot of us might think. He's got the seasoning after playing 4 years in college. Runs with a purpose. He breaks through arm tackles very well, and he's good at getting those yards after contact. That's a big deal. And also he has excellent vision, so he's very good in short yardage. So in those 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 situations, you might see Isaiah Davis in that role more than you might see Braylon Allen, and maybe about as much as you see Breece Hall. It's not impossible. All right. So right now I think he can identify running lanes really well. And that only makes sense because he's 3 or 4 years older and he's played a lot more. Allen is going to be more explosive. And you guys know I love Braylon Allen, but he's going to be a more versatile player. He could catch, he could block better. But if you're looking at a goal line back, short yardage, you might be looking at Isaiah Davis as a bug wants to keep flying around. Not in our house, we don't. But that's the role the Jets are going to need filled, especially when you consider how badly the team struggled in short yardage and red zone situations last season. And you know what? Maybe he's the closer. Just like we talked about Will McDonald being the closer on the defense, Isaiah defense might be that closing running back that the Jets could use to put games away. All right, one other player that I'm going to mention is the wrong pictures up there, but that's okay. We'll just cut it as Carter Warren. Warren got off to a very, very rough start last year, missed a large portion of the offseason. He was injured most of his senior year in college also. And because of the injuries to Brown, to Becton, and to this one and to that one, he, just like Max Mitchell, he was forced into action, and the results went about as badly as you would expect. But he's looking stronger. He's looking smarter. He's had some very, very forceful blocks off a very good defensive line. And I think Warren is going to be a very valuable swing tackle, and he's trending very well. Would not shock me if he plays well enough. He could start next year for the Jets. Like, if the Jets could have their starting tackles next year be Olu Fashanu and Carter Warren and pay them very, very little money. Wow. Imagine all the money you could use in other spots, especially as the contract goes up. Jinpak, Chris Streveler was our best quarterback when we had no OL. I agree with that until it was time for him to throw the ball. Do you guys remember that series in the Jacksonville game? That one drive where he was in? It was like 3 yards, 4 yards, 6 yards, 1 yard, 2 yards. It was like coaching a two-legged turtle to run the 100-meter sprint. He made a little progress, but it took hours and hours for every little stitch of progress, for every inch. And ultimately, like missing C.J. Uzomah. Like C.J. Uzomah, then when he threw that pass to Uzomah, not that I want to really talk about him much, but when he tried to throw that pass to Uzomah, there was not even another Jaguar on the TV screen with him. And the pass came up like 5 yards short, and Uzomah had to like run back and get it and was tackled immediately. So, yeah, Streveler was, Tim Tebow with a better beard and with less arm than Tebow. And, yeah, we'll leave it at that. Yeah. I think Carter Warren is coming along very, very well. Yeah, I would expect a lot of Fashanu and Warren as the starting tackles in the preseason. Hopefully for maybe the whole first half against Washington. I would like to see that. Let's see what happens. All right, guys. Well, I'll tell you what here. It is, it's almost 7 o'clock right now. Yep, rain likely to continue over the next couple of hours. Don't we know it? All right. Scott Foster is here. Scott, glad you're here, man. We got a nice turnout tonight. Man, that is fantastic. Yeah, definitely appreciate that. Yeah, and as the season's getting closer, things are just getting more and more exciting. No doubt about it. All right, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. I think we're going to have a little fun right now, and we are going to step into that place. And you know what happens every single week, guys, don't you? You know the deal by now. Every week, I bust open the books. I pull up the websites, and I, Watsu-K9, challenge you, the most loyal fans of the most loyal fan base in all of the NFL. Just how much do you know about your football team, the New York Jets? So if you are ready, let's play Jets Trivia. And everybody just imagine the music is playing, the copyrighted music. Don't we wish that was the case? Well, you guys know that how we do this. I give you a question. We throw it there on the screen, and we give you 5 minutes to try to get the answer. And last week I went a little bit low with the Sean Phillips. So yeah, that was a pretty tough one to get. This one, we'll see how we do. We're going to step back in time a little bit. But as you all know, I like to make my trivia questions topical, our trivia questions topical. And with the Jets playing Washington very soon, here comes that bug again. Ooh, I'll be getting out the raid after the broadcast ends. I thought I would give you a little question about the history of the Jets and Washington, and I will not make it about the Jetskins raid from the year, what was it, like 2003 or whatever the year was. Yeah, I think it was 2003. So we're not going to do that. So here is your question for tonight. Tonight's question goes like this. In the Jets' history against Washington, they lost 8 of their first 9 games against the Redskins. The only win in that stretch was December 11th, 1993, when they won the game 3-0. Very exciting. Your job tonight, guys, name the 3 Jets defenders who recorded quarterback sacks. Your time starts now. Nick was already typing the 4 names. Lavernius Coles, Randy Thomas, Chad Morton, and your boy, John Hall. And then the Jets go to Washington on the first night and they lose. First night of the season on Monday Night Football. The Redskins didn't have the Indian head on the helmet. They had like the arrow. Do you guys remember the Indian arrow that they used to have for a little bit? Those uniforms sucked. All right. Nick is already giving me an answer. He goes with Jeff Lageman, Scott Murasau, and Dennis Byrd. All right. Well, Nick, here's the result. Well, I guess I got to give you the result of that. There we go. All right. You got 1 out of 3 right. It was a good try. That third buzzer, the extra buzzer didn't want to work. Jin Pak says Mo Lewis. Was it Mo Lewis? It sure was. You've got 2 out of 3 already. And Jeff Lageman and Mo Lewis, who was the third Jet who got that sack in 1993 against Rich Gannon and Mark Rippon. Yeah, Washington played 2 quarterbacks in Gannon and Rippon. How about that? Chris Bradigan says Hugh Douglas. No, it was not Hugh Douglas. Roger F. echoing Nick with Scott Murasau. It was not. I don't. Was Dennis Byrd? I forgot when Bird's accident happened. I don't think that was it. Yeah. I'm just checking real quick. When was so Dennis Byrd got hurt in November of 1992. So unfortunately, his career had already come to an end by now. Roger F goes with Marvin Washington. Is it Marvin Washington? You bet it is, guys. Well done in just 3. You guys were done in 2 minutes. That's what she said. That's right. 2 minutes, and you knocked this question out of the park. So, guys, what else can I say except way to go? Very well done as you knocked this trivia out of the park. The correct answers were Jeff Lageman, Mo Lewis, and Marvin Washington. That's right. We didn't get overly obscure with you guys tonight. So good job. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to, because of your support, wow, we're getting close to 20 likes. Yeah, let's hit 20. We're at 18. Let's get all the way to 20. Let's do it. Let's smash that thumbs up. I know you could do it. But we are going to play the wheel. Now, last week we're going to change it up a little bit. Last week we did the 100 greatest Jets. It was a very special wheel until we actually started spinning the freaking wheel. Holy hell, what a nightmare of a wheel that was. Where, yeah, who wound up number 1 on that list? Yeah, I think that was the Kenny O'Brien number 1 wheel, right, Nick? Yeah, Kenny O'Brien. And we had the likes of Wayne Hunter, Kyle Wilson, and Vernon Golston on it. Buster Scream was our number 3. Oh, dear Lord, have mercy. All right, guys. So I think we got to give the 100 player wheel a little bit of a rest. And I think we need to switch this one up. So I think what we're going to do, I'm not going to do the quarterback wheel. I think that one's just a little bit too depressing. But let's do... I don't think we've done the secondary wheel yet, have we? Yeah, I don't think we have. Guys, I'll tell you what. We are going to debut, I think this is a debut, the New York Jets secondary wheel. So this is all cornerbacks and safeties for a franchise that has had a pretty good history with them. So what I'm going to do right now is share the screen. Scott says O'Brien was the best part of the wheel. No, Winston Hill and Jonathan Vilma were both better players, in my opinion. All right, so let's get that nice and open for us. There's the wheel. Okay, perfect. All right, so now I'll be watching the chat through my phone. Yeah, we've never done the secondary wheel, but guys, we've got a whole bunch of them, including current players as well. So, yeah. Yep, we got a whole lot of options here. So let's see what winds up happening. We'll see if this wheel winds up being great or winds up being terrible or somewhere in the middle. But I do think we have some very, very good players. Okay, so guys, here's what we're going to do for those who may be here for the very first time. We are going to spin this wheel 10 times. Now, we have random New York Jets on this wheel. And with every spin, we're going to land on a Jet. And it is your job to tell me where you want this player to rank on this top 10 list. We rank every player with every spin. And at the end, after we pick 10 players, we will evaluate if we did it from best jet to worst jet. That is our goal. We've already knocked out the trivia. Can we knock out that wheel? All right. So what we're going to do is start the wheel right now. And we are going to start spin number 1. And we are going to spin that wheel in 3, 2. Oh, before do I want to do I was just thinking, do we want to do the gimmick where if we land on it, you pick where it goes? I think that's best left for the 100 wheel. So yeah, we're just gonna spin tonight. I mean, if you like to guess where we land, then by all means do so. But yeah, we're gonna do chat's choice for all of these. Okay. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, spin. And the very first wheel of the Jets secondary comes to a stop on Eric Coleman. All right. Well, Eric Coleman, a very good safety, now an SNY analyst, played with the Rex Ryan teams and was with the Jets. Yeah, was drafted in the 5th round in 2004 and played with the Jets from 2004 to 2007 before moving on to both Atlanta and Dallas. But, a very, very solid Jet. Started 45 out of 48 regular season games that he played with the Jets. Oh, this is pretty cool. Eric Coleman finished his first season as the NFL's highest grossing member of the performance pay program. That is the league's plan for rewarding low salary players who outperform their contracts, meaning they considered him about the most overachieving player of the 2004 draft. So yeah, 04-07. So yeah, not Rex Ryan. I was thinking Kerry Rhodes, more Eric Mangini, excuse me. Yes, Dane, Eric Mangini. I always think of Coleman and Rhodes together. I just think of them as being a pair in the secondary. All right, guys. So where are we going to put Eric Coleman? Roger F goes with a 5. All right, guys. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where some of these players wind up. So yeah, put your numbers in on where you want to put Eric Coleman. I would think kind of middle of the road makes sense. Swig of water for the working man and woman. Chris Bradigan goes with a 6. Okay. Dane's thinking this one over. I think a lot of people are thinking over. Nick's thinking it over. Harlan's pondering it. Jinpok's wondering where he's going to go with this one too. Harlan Abraham wants to put him in spot number 6. Dane comes back with a 5. So it looks like we're going to go right in the middle. Guys, let's break the tie. Where do we want to put Eric Coleman? Nick gives him a 6. Nick had a phone call, fell a little bit behind. All right, that's okay. You didn't miss anything. All right, looks like the 6s are winning out here, and I'm fine with that. All right, so we are going to put Eric Coleman at number 6 on our board. All right. Very good. I'm good with that. Yeah, that's one of those players I'm glad we got early rather than later. I mean, can you imagine if we were stuck between 1 and 8 and had to put him there? Yeah, that wouldn't have been too good. All right. Now we're going to spin number 2 in 3, 2, 1, spin. And it's going to come to a stop on, it's close. It's going to be the aforementioned Kerry Rhodes, the selfish-ass player, as Rex Ryan called him in his book. But when Kerry Rhodes was here, made a pretty good impact. Was drafted in the 4th round back in 2005. Was with the Jets from 2005 to 2009. Played, what would that be, 78 started 78 out of a possible 80 games for the Jets. Had a pretty good career and also had 15 interceptions with the Jets as well. And even in 2006 was named second-team All-Pro. Yeah, Kerry Rhodes was a second-team All-Pro player. Nick, what do you win? Good job. All right, so where are we going to put Kerry Rhodes here? Dane wants to – I see some 5s. I see a 4. Okay. I would probably rank him above Eric Coleman. I think in the 4 to 5 range is pretty sensible. Okay. All right. Yeah, then Rhodes left, spent 3 years with Arizona, and he was done. Man, These players who show so much promise early, oftentimes are out of the league so quickly. Sometimes it just takes one injury or just wear and tear or who knows what. All right, right now it looks like pretty much a dead heat between 4 and 5. Right now, guys, I don't know. I think Rhodes was a pretty dang good player, but I think we got some who might be just a little bit better than him. Yeah, it looks like the 5s are winning out by just a hair. Guys, I'll give you about 15 more seconds to put your votes. So, yeah, let your voice be heard. Jinpak says 6. Jinpak can't be a 6. Eric Coleman's number 6, and we can use every number only one time. Solid just here's to a 5. Okay, yep, we got enough. Yeah, 5s. 5s win this one. Kerry Rhodes will be 5. So, yeah, it's only appropriate that Eric Coleman and Kerry Rhodes are right next to each other, isn't it? Okay, so we got 2 spins down. We've got Rhodes at 5 and Coleman at 6, and now it's time for spin number 3, 2, 1. And it's going to come to a stop on Super Bowl winning cornerback Johnny Sample. That's right, the original number 24 on the Jets, who was a dynamite cornerback. Sample played a whole lot for the Baltimore Colts. I believe he played for Baltimore in the greatest game ever played. Let's see here. As I'm trying to pull the stats up, but he did a good job against a very good Baltimore offense. Playing, I think he played mostly against. I want to say it was Jimmy Orr that he played against. Yeah, I don't think Raymond Berry was there anymore. But yep, Sample was very good. Played in the NFL from 1958 to 1968, and his last game ever was the Super Bowl. He was with the Jets. Let's see, only for 3 years, 1966 through 68. Played 41 out of 42 games. Had 17 interceptions in 3 years. It's pretty good. All right, so Johnny Sample, where is he going to go? All right, Jets, a little bit tough on him because he's in the older guard. I see a couple of 7s. I see an 8. I mean, he did win a Super Bowl, so that does mean something. All right. Any other stats we can find? Yeah, not really. Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, just 3 years. Didn't spend a whole lot of time there with the Jets. Nick says I dislike anybody named Johnny. Gotcha. All right, guys. I'm going to give him spot numbers. Harlan wants to go 3. All right. Harlan being very, very supportive of the Super Bowl, but I think you're being a little bit outvoted on this one, man. Hate to tell you. I wouldn't have had a problem putting Sample at maybe number 4, but I think the 7s are going to win this one. All right, so Johnny Sample will be spot number 7. All right, I'll let it go. All right, now we're going to go to spin number 4 in 3, 2, 1. And we're coming to a stop on Marcus Coleman. Yeah, I think one of those he's one of those players not a lot of people really know all that well, but Jet fans love him. I guess because he had the 2 interceptions in the Monday Night Miracle game. I think that has a whole lot to do with it. Scott Foster with a good point. Sample became the USA's number 1 tennis player in the 45 and over category. Very, very cool. Yeah, Sample was a darn good player. All right, but now we're on to Marcus Coleman. Now, he was a Jet for the first 6 years of his career from 1996 to 2001 before going on to play with the Houston Texans. So, Coleman only started 6 games in his first 3 years. Then he started 10 in 1999, 16 in 2000, and 15 in 2001. Had a 98-yard pick 6 in the year 1999. And with the Jets, he had 2, 8, 12, 14 interceptions, including 6 in 1999 alone. Yeah, 2 interceptions on one effing drive. Yep, because he fumbled the ball right afterwards. Yeah, he knew what he was doing. It's just so he could get another interception again, just like the best always do it. Chris Baradigan goes with a 9. Roger F. All right, so guys, 5, 6, and 7 are taken. Yes, Johnny 10 Toes. That's exactly right. Yep. So Jets. So I see a 3. I see another 3. I see a 9. I see another 9. Roger, I can't count yours because it's a 7. Roger changes it to an 8. Wow. We're all over the map with Coleman here. Man. I mean, he was a jet longer than any of the other players that we had on the list, and he was good. You know, he definitely had his moments, but you know, he wasn't consistently great, but he had his moments for sure. Right now, I'm thinking I would cut the difference, split the difference, and put him in spot number 4. I don't think I could quite put him at 8. I think we haven't hit like any bad players yet, and there are a couple on this list. There are a couple, not a lot of terrible players, but there are some bad ones. I don't know. All right. 8, 9, 3, 3, 2, 4. Yeah, this is just so close. So Marcus Coleman is one of Yeti's favorites. He's feeling a little bit partial. Yeah, I understand that. All good. Yeah, kind of hard to compare across generations, Dane says. Longevity and winning helps. Yeah, that's part of the fun of it, you know? We'll tend to give a little more favoritism to, I think, the players that we grew up with, when you sort of had that innocence and you had that little extra level of worship for players, you know? Then when you hit your 20s, 30s, you know, you become a little bit more jaded, I guess. Roger says you put the beginning guys too high. Well, hey, Roger, you know, blame your fellow chat members. I just go with where they go, and I try to just give it like an overall – I just try to split the difference and summarize it. This one, though, is going to be very difficult. I'm thinking I want to put him at 4 because I'm seeing a couple of very high votes, like 2 very high votes can really change this. But it's either going to be number 4 or number 8. I don't think I could go anywhere else. Scott Foster, Kyle Wilson is knocking at the door. Yeah, I know. So is Buster Screen. So is Tremaine Johnson. You know, Jordan Whitehead. I don't know. Maybe you could even throw him in. See how bitter people still are on Jamal Adams. Oh, did I leave off Marcus May? Oh, yeah, Marcus May's on there. Okay. But, yeah, there are a lot of good players on here. All right, I think I'm going to – yeah, we have to squeeze guys. If we get Sauce or Rivas, we're done. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good wheel. Not a lot of bad players here. Not a lot. Guys, I think the majority of the numbers were lower than 7. We got to make up our minds. Guys, I'm going to put him at 8, all right, just because there were more lower votes than there were higher votes. There were more in the 7s and 8s than there were in the 3s and 4s. So I'm going to make Marcus Coleman 8. Yeah, but yeah, it is pretty tough. Dane, is Sauce on the wheel? He absolutely is. Sauce is on here. DJ's on here. MC2 is on here. They're all here. Yeah. So, because that's fun. Where do you put the current players, you know? Okay, guys. So just to recap, we've filled in spots 5 through 8 so far. Number 5, Kerry Rhodes. Number 6, Eric Coleman. Number 7, Johnny Sample. And number 8, Marcus Coleman. All right, we're going to go to spin number 5 in 3, 2, 1, spin. And we are coming to a stop on Antonio Allen. All right, so this is an interesting one. Definitely not the best player that we're going to land on here, but he had a way of making big plays in big spots. I believe he had a very big interception of the overrated so-called GOAT out of New England. I remember that, and that definitely made me smile. So I guess I got a little place in my heart for Antonio Allen. So I'm going to try to pull the stats up. Unfortunately, on the tablet, it works a little bit small. You know, I'm just going to go to the I'm just going to go to my cell phone because it's a lot faster. Yeah, this tablet is old. All right, Antonio Allen. He's still only 35 years old, amazingly enough. All right, so Antonio Allen only played 50 games in his career, all with the Jets, from 2012 to 2016. There was only so he played 7 games, 16 games, 15, and 12. Yeah, his only interception was a pick 6 of Tom Brady. Yeah, forced 1 fumble, 13 passes defended. And that's the other thing with the newer players. You have a lot more stats than you used to in the old days. Yeah, 3 quarterback hits. I mean, yeah, he had a good one really good moment that we love, but it's not as if he was this very productive player for a long time. So wow, I see some 10s. Wow, it's either going to be 9 or 10. I don't think we can put him at 1, 2, 3, or 4. Roger F's going with an 11. Wow, I didn't think Coleman was that bad. Yeah, I know Coleman did some good stuff. We got some bad players on here, and with 4 spins left, guys, I think we're going to land on at least one of them. So I'd be a little bit, yeah, I'm not feeling about 10. Yeti would have said 8. Yeah, I could see that. All right, so we got Roger. Tony's going with the 10. Chris going with the 10. Mess and Dane are going with a 9. David's going with a 9. I'd go with a 9 as well, to be honest with you, because, yeah, he did do some good things. Dane asking me what numbers do we have left? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, and 10. So, yeah. I mean, I know that sounds difficult, but we do have a lot of good players coming up. But, again, when you have guys coming up who are still here like Dwight Lowry and Kyle Wilson, guys like that, I mean, you have to save one spot there at the bottom. Lamar Jackson, for crying out loud, right? Yeah, the other Lamar Jackson. I'm going to go 9, guys, on this one. I think that's a fair spot for Mr. Allen. And I'm living here in Allentown. Ba, 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 ba. All right. There we go. So we are now halfway done. Spots 5 through 9 are filled. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 10. It's like we're playing Yahtzee, and we have 4 turns left with 1 junk roll. All right, here we go, guys. Let's do spin number 6 in 3, 2, 1, spin. Let's hit this one good. Come on, and we land on DJ Reed. Current New York Jet, been maybe the best number 2 cornerback in the NFL. You could make the case. Roger is actually currently wearing a number 26 Lito Shepherd jersey. Dude, I give you credit for going obscure. Well done. Yeah, a lot of people don't remember that first year went to the AFC Championship game. Shepherd was the cornerback across from Revis, wasn't Cromartie. All right, Jets Mess says 4. I think that would be a pretty good place to go. Dane and Roger, Chris going a little bit higher. They want to give him number 3. All right, I could see that. Okay. And again, guys, if you haven't watched the origin story on DJ Reed on YouTube or on the Jets channel, definitely check that out. Well worth the 45-minute watch. I'm a big fan of Mama Reed. Mama Reed, Linda Reed, awesome. Absolutely awesome. Hey, maybe we should put him at number 4 just because that's his number. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, DJ's been here 2 years, 2 interceptions, 21 passes defended, 2 fumbles forced, 3 tackles for a loss. All right, where are we going to put him? I know he's going to be in that 3 to 4 range. I'm feeling very confident there. Roger played $4 for a Lito Shepherd jersey in a thrift shop. Wow. What would the equivalent of that be right now? That would be like, I'm not going to say Greg Van Roten. That's a little bit too mean, but maybe like a Laurent Duvernay Tardif jersey. I think it's on that level, Kelvin Beachum. All right, 4, 3, 3, 4, 4, 3, or 4. This is a dead heat right now, guys. 3 or 4. Yeah, we are flat even. Yeti, I'm going to have to ask you to pick a number here, brother. We're dead even at 3 and 4, and you're splitting the difference right now. I mean, if this keeps up, this is like a hanging Chad in the 2000 election. You know what I'm talking about? All right, guys, tell you what. Next number I see from somebody who hasn't voted, 3 or 4, that's who I'm going to go. Roger, you already voted. Night, Roger. No. All right. Yeti goes with a 4. So DJ Reed is ranked at his very own number that he wears on the field, number 4. And now we have spots 4 through 9 filled up. And now we got to fill spots 1, 2, 3, and 10. That's right. Okay. And now we're up to spin number 7. And let's do that in 3, 2, 1. Spin a little early. And it's going to come to a stop on slot cornerback Ray Mickens. All right, so Ray Mickens, really a very good slot cornerback before that even became really a thing. Played in the NFL from 1996 to 2006, was with the Jets from 96 to 03, so 8 years before going to Cleveland for a year and then New England for 4 games. Played 126 games with the Jets. Had 11 interceptions, 40 passes defended, 5 forced fumbles. So very good, solid quarterback. Never the flashiest guy. Not a guy who got a lot of recognition. But, yeah, definitely a good – to have an 8-year career as a very good cornerback in the NFL, 9 years really, when you include the year in Cleveland when he played the whole year. Yeah, you'll take that. That's a darn good career. And they giving him a lot of praise, putting him at number 2. Jets best goes 3. Yet he has is Keyshawn on this wheel. No, Keyshawn Johnson, Keyshawn Butte, neither of them are on this wheel. No, this is a key-free wheel. All right, Chris goes with a 3. Tony Alexio saved number 10 for Aaron Glenn with the fake spike. A little harsh, but I get it. Dano says 8 years needs some love, in my opinion. Yeah, definitely true. He's been a Jet longer than any of these players for sure. Yeah, Mickens was very solid. Yeah, I think 3 is going to be the place to go here. I'm leaning. Yeah, it looks like the majority of the chat is in agreement. Okay, Ray Mickens at number 3. Okay, so with 3 spins left, let's give you all the recap. The spots available are spots 1, 2, and 10. And then from bottom to top, we've got a number 9, Antonio Allen. Number 8, Marcus Coleman. Number 7, Johnny Sample. Number 6, Eric Coleman. Number 5, Kerry Rhodes. Number 4, DJ Reed. And number 3, who we just landed on, was number 24, Ray Mickens. Yeah, we got 2 Jet defenders in here who wore the number 24. Maybe there's another one coming. Could be. Could definitely happen. There are a few other players on this wheel who wore number 24. All right, 3 spins to go. So now we're on to spin number 8 in 3, 2, 1. And it looks like we're going to respin. Yes, we will, because we landed on Kerry Rhodes. Okay, respin in 3, 2, 1. And it's going to come to a stop on, oh boy, this is going to hurt a little bit. Jamal Adams, and we got to put him at either spot 1, 2, or 10. Now, if you factor in the personality and the fact that he can be a dick at times, yes, I understand putting him low, but I mean, at number 10, I don't know. And he was only a Jet for 3 years. Only 2 interceptions. Had 1 touchdown, 5 forced fumbles, 25 passes defended, forced 4 fumbles, scored a touchdown off of a fumble, and was named Pro Bowl to the Pro Bowl twice. It was named All-Pro twice. I know it didn't end well, and he was not here very long. It's amazing that Jamal Adams, again, was here for 3 years. And again, hey, we turned Jamal Adams into an absolute haul. So in a way, I'm kind of thankful for him. And we'll see him week 2 when he suits up for the Titans. All right, so already we're seeing a couple of 10s. It's 1, 2, or 10. I guess that's all we can do. And to be honest with you, if you put him at any one of these numbers, I understand your case. Chris Bradigan says, who? Who? Man, I wish we landed on Jamal Adams immediately so we could have had a whole array of numbers to choose from. Instead, it's one extreme or the other. Oh, let me just get rid of this. Max that back out. There we go. Harlan goes 2. Yep, and Dane says 1 because of the return we got for him. Yeah, you can make the case. Hey, you know what? If you're going to factor in the personality and the fact that he could be a bit of a jerk sometimes, then I think by the same token, you also have to factor in the trade. I mean, I think both those things are worth it. Scott can't put him at 1 or 2, so he's putting him at 10. Dane's putting him at 10. Jets mess, is he in the NFL? Yeah, Tennessee signed him to a one-year deal. So we're going to see Jamal week 2. Aaron Rodgers throwing on Jamal Adams in pass coverage. Oh, doesn't that sound exciting? Yeah, I may get to the Tennessee game. I know I could get a flight out there, but for their home opener, you can't get in the stadium for less than like $125 right now. And it's not exactly the best stadium I've ever seen either. You know, downtown Nashville is awesome, but Nissan Stadium, nah. But if I get a ticket for a reasonable price, you know, I might fly down for that game. Let's see. All right, I'm going to try to sort of summarize this because, yeah, not easy. I'm seeing a couple of 10s. I see a 2, a 1. Dane gave him a point for each of his wristbands. All right, guys, I got to tell you, I think the 10 is winning out. I got to go Jamal Adams 10. Yeah, just because he left a very negative taste in our mouths. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, we got 2 spins left, spot 1 and spot 2. So we got to get Ring of Honor. We got to get Pro Bowl. We got to get all pro level with these spins, guys. So here we go. Spin number 9. Guys, let's have some good vibes. Let's hit this hard. Give me a Revis. Give me a sauce. In 3, 2, 1. And it's going to land on, we should have put Jamal at number 2. Now, put it this way. If this was a wheel against just playing against the Buffalo Bills, I'd put Jordan Whitehead at number 1 with no problem. But too many missed tackles, too many bad angles to ball carriers. Not a terrible Jet. You know, we didn't pay a huge exorbitant amount of money for him, but it felt like there was just a little bit more. It was just a little bit more. So, yeah, I don't think there's any way we're putting him at 1. Should I just go ahead and put him at 2, everybody? I feel like that's just the right thing to do. All right. All right. Yeah, Jordan Whitehead. Yeah, I think Jordan Whitehead will be our number 2 on this list. Yeah, I think the chat pretty much all agrees. All right, guys. Here we go. 1 spin left, and like it always seems to happen on this wheel, our final spin is left for the top spot, the gold medal, the highest place on the Olympic podium. Roger says, Wick, we done. Now we got 1 spin left. We still got to fill in spot number 1. You know what? Let's just try to go out on a high note. Okay? So here we go. The final spin of the night. Yeah, Whitehead could get some interceptions. And you know what? So could Tremaine Johnson. Yep. Whitehead was good in pass coverage, pretty good in pass coverage, but not at tackling and not at, not at that part of the game. He was a limited safety is what he really was. But hey, back to Tampa he goes, and I'll gladly take Chuck Clark. All right. Final spin of the night, guys. In 3, 2, 1, go. And our final spin of the night, the number 1 spot. Oh, dear God. Why? Kyle Wilson, one of the biggest busts in the history of a franchise that is littered with them. What else can I say except this wheel sucked. And I hate to call anybody out, but for the person who said we had Rhodes and Coleman ranked too high, look how we finished with Jordan Whitehead and Kyle Wilson. Oh my God, oh my gosh, this may have been the worst 1-2 finish. Dane, I know the guy was like allergic to an interception. Oh man, well done. Just like your wife likes pork chops. Got it. I had some pork chops last night with some honey balsamic glaze that I made for some lamb chops. Had some extra glaze and made some pork chops and just dipped them in the honey balsamic. Nice glaze. In the history of the wheel, is that the worst number 1 ever? We've had Doug Bryan. Doug Bryan was number 1. You know what? If you look at here's the one exception I would make. If you look at the quarterback wheel, And guys, here's how sick I am. You guys see this? Luke Falk was number 1 on our quarterback wheel. Acknowledged. Yes, I acknowledge. Yeah, I would say Luke Falk was a worse NFL player than Kyle Wilson. I'll give him that much. Man. Nick just got back from the pharmacy. What was the result? Nick, go whatever you got at the pharmacy, it wasn't enough tonight. Holy shit. We went in order. Number 10, Jamal Adams. Number 9, Antonio Allen. Number 8, Marcus Coleman. Number 7, Johnny Sample. Number 6, Eric Coleman. Number 5, Kerry Rhodes. Number 4, DJ Reed. Number 3, Ray Mickens. Number 2, with our last 2 picks, Jordan Whitehead, and number 1, Kyle freaking Wilson. Oh. Nick, I know you don't drink anymore, but please find something right now. Please, just anything that won't cause a – seriously, that was so bad. Whew. Man, I could hear everybody in the chat when those names came up. It was just like – it just sounded like that. One more time. Exactly. That's how it pretty much sounded. Was Adams at 10 or because of Hader had to put him there? Nick, it was either spot 1, 2, or 10. I let the chat go, and there were more 10s than there were high picks. Like 2 guys went with a 1 or a 2 because of the return that we got for him in the trade, and everybody else put him in spot number 10. So it was one of those places where, you wish you had him at the very beginning of the show, at the very beginning of the wheel, because you could put him anywhere. And it'd been really funny to see, would it be 3 or 6 or 9 or what would he have been? But in this case, you had to put an extreme player in an extreme spot on the wheel. That's what it came down to. And, even though we had some very good players, we did not get the creme de la creme, and we ended with Kyle Wilson. Oh. Man alive, I can't even do that. Was so bad, I can't even do a redo on it. Oh, that really, really hurt. All right. Well, last week wasn't too bad of a wheel, but this one sucked. It sucked out loud. So, all right, this was the Kyle Wilson of wheels is what this was, wasn't it? All right, guys, well, I'll tell you what. I think what we're going to do is I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch the preseason game. I'm going to have to find some place that's showing it, since we're not going to have it down here in North Carolina, I don't think. But I will try to find a place that is showing it live, and I will try to watch it and do a recap of the game afterwards. And you know what? Coming up, I did do a brief video on Jalen Brunson, why I'm not too excited about him becoming captain of the Knicks. If you need to kill 3 minutes by yourself, that's one way to do it. And you know what? Other than that, next week we'll be previewing Jets versus Panthers, and I'm going to be excited because guess what? I'm going to the game. I will be in the Queen City, my first time in Charlotte, where I wasn't just flying into the airport to fly out of it, because that's about the reason everybody goes to Charlotte, is either for work reasons or to fly out of there. So I am looking forward to that. I've got a nice, basically 48-hour trip. Saturday morning into 36 hours. Saturday morning into Sunday night. So we'll definitely recap that trip the next week. And hopefully we'll have some good tailgating stories and try to meet some Jets fans down there and maybe take some video for you. So hopefully we'll have some stories. But I'll be interested to see who gets the playing time in this first game against Washington. Let's see who gets the bulk of the reps, and we'll see who stands out. But again, we all know the deal. No injuries, and keep those snaps low. Well, everybody, I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight, as Nick is basically a broken record with That's What She Said right now. But, hey, it's been a fun show. We went an hour and 40 minutes solo. Very, very good. I appreciate everybody watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Share with your friends for sure as the march continues to 1,000. So we're still about 60 subscribers away. So we want to get there. So that's why I say share with somebody who may not know about it. But everybody, you guys freaking rock. I thank you for joining me every week, and I will see you right back here with more content from you all know where it is by now. The Wicker Chair. Good night, everybody.